Hello and how you doing, and welcome back to Two Jagoffs. I am your host, Austin Cairns, right here in Point Park University's Media Hub. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Interview Sunday, so you know what that means. We have a special guest coming on each and every single week. And this week, we're going to step away from professional wrestling just a little bit because, respectfully, I'm sick of getting bullied by the wrestlers I bring on. So we are going to bring on one of my good friends. He is a fellow Point Park University sports comm student. And let's just say me and him have some experience calling some games together. Please welcome the one and only Connor Howard. Connor, it's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I see you're wearing green. We're actually shooting this on St. Patrick's Day, so good thing we're both in the green today. We got the memo.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Notre Dame hat because my sister told me if I did not wear green today, I'm getting pinched. And I'm like, you are not pinching me. That is not happening. If you pinch me, I'm going to stone cold stunner you. That is not about to happen. But we're here. We're making this happen finally. I did promise you a while ago I was going to bring you on the podcast too, which I do apologize for having it delayed so much. But thank you for making the trip down here today, even with all the snow.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Very humbled and grateful to finally be on Two Jagoffs. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So I feel like a good way to start off this episode is for the audience to get to know you a little bit, Connor. Obviously, we both met here at Point Park University. You're also studying sports communication. Correct me if I'm wrong, you're also graduating this year as well. Yeah, because we're in capstone together. So do you mind sharing with me what your journey was like at Point Park, what initially brought you here?
Yeah, it's actually a very crazy story. You know, I've been here all 4 years of my undergrad. You know, sports comm was the whole reason why I came to Point Park. Mm-hmm. That was like the whole reason why I came here. I wouldn't have came here if it wasn't for that major. And just the opportunities to call games and start right away with UView and just working with the athletic department and just calling the games here, just very tremendous to work with all the athletes and teams here. It's just been a great 4 years here at Point Park.
Fully agree. And I will tell you what, I think you were one of the first people that I actually met here, and you were very welcoming and very open because I transferred in, obviously. That was my story that a lot of people know. And I didn't know a single soul here. So thank you so much for being so welcoming and kind of showing me the ropes a little bit early on here as well. So you mentioned you do Sports Comm Club and UView. Do you have a particular favorite that you like to do, or are you kind of versatile? Like, does it not really matter?
Honestly, I really enjoy both, but I do have to lean a little bit more towards the sports comm side of things and calling the games. I just really enjoy running camera and calling games for all the sports teams here and just all the athletes. It's just been so great to just work all these games, work NAIA and D2 Point Park athletic events the last 4 years. It's just been tremendous, and I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities I have to work all these games.
Do you have a particular favorite sport you like to call?
Well, personally, I'm going to lean towards like baseball and softball because that's always a sport I always grew up playing, but I enjoy all the games, honestly. I enjoy all the athletes. I enjoy all the teams here at Point Park. Just overall, all together, just really all the games, just in all the teams.
Was it me and you that called the game at the Washington Wild Things last year, or was that a different game I'm thinking of?
I believe so. We called a doubleheader together when we played, when Point Park played West Liberty and the Mountain East Conference doubleheader last year at Wild Things Park.
Yeah, it was that one, and then I don't remember if I was on call with you or not for the one in Green Tree. I don't think that was you. I think that might have been someone else. Maybe.
Yeah, that might have been someone else.
Yeah, because when I was here, obviously I've called baseball games at Wild Things and Green Tree Park once each. I didn't call any softball games yet. Obviously, we've called several basketball games together. You were play-by-play for a couple of them. I was play-by-play, so we kind of switched around. And then I think the big one that me and you did together was Youngstown State University. That was my personal favorite because we had the trip to call. It was the women's game, and we actually got to travel over with Tiana and Tyler in the bus and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. That was probably one of my favorite experiences together, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Working a D1 exhibition game, we get to call on radio. I had really fun that day. That was, December of 2024, I believe.
Yeah, December.
And it was just a really great experience getting to call a D1 exhibition game. It was a lot of fun just to go call that game with you on radio, and then we stopped and got food afterwards. It was just a really great day.
Where did we go? We got to Chipotle, I think?
I believe so. They're in Youngstown, yes.
It was so good. It was some good Chipotle. I'm not going to lie to you. But, Youngstown State was probably, I don't know if I'm speaking for you or not, but for me personally, that was probably like my first big broadcasting gig I had. Because obviously I do wrestling now, so I do a little bit of broadcasting every week. But at the time when I first transferred in, I was doing maybe a couple Point Park games here or there on the side, but when Tyler Beck offered, hey, yeah, you're going to be on call with Connor, and me and you done soccer previously too beforehand, right. So we were very familiar with each other, and he was like, yeah, you guys can go and call this basketball game together. I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do it, and I think we made a really good team that day.
Yeah, I thought we sure did. It's always great calling games with you. It was
Thank you.
a lot of fun last year, especially calling games. But I'll never forget. It was the very first ever game here. It was when our men's soccer team played Chatham. It was the first ever D2 broadcast. And that's why I met you at Highmark Stadium in August of 2024. And I was basically like showing you the ropes of how I'm doing play-by-play because that's when I called the game with McKenna Smith. And it was a lot of fun to call the first ever D2 broadcast in Mountain East Conference history for Point Park University Athletics. So that was one of the big things that I always look back at. I was the first ever guy to like call like a game for our D2, school going from the River States Conference of NAI to Mountain East Conference of Division II athletics. So it was really such an honor.
That's a good point you bring up. I didn't even think about that because whenever I transferred in was our first year technically being a D2 school for Point Park. So, yeah, I mean, congratulations on that, by the way. McKenna's awesome, too. She's been on Steel City previously, so she shared a lot of her experiences. And I'll be honest, I'm not the most fluent when it comes to soccer. I'm not really as too well into that sphere. So thank you, McKenna, for carrying me on those broadcasts. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, probably the best color commentator I've ever met that can do soccer because she has a lot of experience. She played soccer, so she's very talented in calling soccer games. That's why if there's ever a person I want to call a soccer game with, it's with McKenna Smith, 100%.
I fully agree. I don't think I would be able to. I mean, me and you make a pretty good team, but I know for a fact that she's going to get me on all the stats and all the rules and stuff because I still am learning to this day, even though I've called about a dozen soccer games. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's neither here nor there. We also called some Carlo games together too, which I feel like those were probably some of my favorites that I've done with you. I will never forget. Who was it? It was a women's game we called together. And I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Sydney Carr was the player that was like going off that game, or was it somebody else?
Yeah, it was Sydney Carr. It was when they were playing Penn State Altoona last school year.
There it is. Yeah. Talk to me about that experience because I know that you've done some work with Carlo as well.
Yeah, like especially this school year. After I called that one game with you last year, I've been running camera. I've been calling like their men's volleyball. I'm supposed to call some of their softball games coming up here at some point. And then I ran camera for a lot of their soccer games. But yeah, it's just been tremendous to work with Carlo Athletics. And the thing I actually really enjoy about the opportunity to go over to Carlo over in Oakland and call their games is that, there's no like bias. It's just two schools that I can actually just go and call. I mean, obviously I'm neutral when calling Point Park games, but and try to stay as neutral as a broadcaster as possible. But it's nice that when I can go do other schools that I have no affiliation or connection to and just broadcast games that aren't affiliated with the school that I go to.
Yeah, I fully agree with you because whenever I did that women's game with you, that was kind of my first time stepping outside of the sphere of Point Park athletics, which I feel like was good for me because it does teach you that unbiased nature. Like, okay, yeah, I don't really have any affiliation with this school, but I could still put my sense into, okay, this is what this team is doing. This is what this team is doing. And even though technically it's under the Carlo umbrella and we're getting paid from Carlo Athletics, which shout out to Carlo, by the way, for that, it's a pretty nice experience to have on your resume. I feel that same way about RMU because Tiana, shout out to Tiana, who used to be here at Point Park, she gave me an opportunity to do PA announcing for RMU versus Akron. And that was my first time really doing PA announcing for a collegiate sport. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, let me do it. So I remember I went there, we had Fox's Pizza, delicious by the way. And then we had and then we did the game and it was an amazing experience. Absolutely amazing experience. And I feel like one advice that I would give to some of our fellow peers, since obviously both of us are graduating this year, would be to step outside of the Point Park bubble a little bit. Yes, do everything you can here at Point Park. Do Sports Comm Club, do UView, do Globe, do WPPJ, do it all. But also step outside a little bit because the outside experiences is what's going to make you the connections and probably what's going to make you some money too on the side.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think that's what I always found was important during my time here is to network and just take advantage of every opportunity that presents itself. Because, like when we're in the group me and stuff and there's opportunities to work these different jobs that I try to take advantage of it as long as I'm free.
What would you say your favorite experience has been a part of so far here at Point Park over the last few years? Just kind of reflecting a little bit.
Wow, that's a really good question. There's just so many memories. I remember when I ran high home camera for our men's when they played St. Mary's when they won the River States Conference Championship my sophomore year. Our one only River States Conference Championship in men's basketball. That was just such a big night. It was probably one of the biggest nights in my young sports broadcasting career. That was just a tremendous night and just very thankful to just be a part of that crew and just to see our men's team win a championship before we went to D2.
Yeah, it's funny because the couple players that I've had on the podcast in the past and some of our fellow peers who's also been a part of that night, that's usually the one night that stands out. And I feel like I had an amazing experience my last 2 years at Point Park, but that's the one thing I'm a little jealous of you guys, because I'm like, darn, if only I transferred in a semester sooner, I could have been a part of that. But I went back and seen some stuff of it, and you guys did an incredible job putting that broadcast together. It turned out really well. And that championship game itself, what a magical moment. I don't think I've ever seen CCAC erupt as loud as it did.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest crowds I've ever saw at CCAC before in my life. It was just such an unbelievable night, such a great experience to be a part of the broadcast.
Now, you said you do a little bit of play-by-play, you do a little bit of color, you've done, obviously, camera for multiple different universities. Now that you're kind of graduating and stepping out of the Point Park sphere, I know we were talking a little bit beforehand on some of our post-grad plans. Do you have a particular passion or thing in mind that you're willing to do, or are you kind of open to doing any role? Where does Connor Howard want to be in the sports industry?
Well, what I honestly been thinking about, like the last few months, like what I want to do. Like, obviously, I enjoy doing play-by-play and color, but I don't think that's going to be like my main focus, though. I always feel like what I'm best at doing is being a camera operator. I am obviously open to doing other roles, but I just get told about how great of a camera operator I am, and I feel like I definitely want to focus on that and hopefully work my way up to, the major leagues of running camera.
I know that a lot of people like starting off small is always the best thing too. And running camera is so great. And we were literally talking about this beforehand, if you don't mind me sharing this actually with everybody. It's one thing that I tell people all the time is if you're doing an experience, document it. Document it and post it on your social page. It's like my biggest pet peeve, and this is kind of our generation's fault, honestly. It really is. What we like to do is we like to use like our Instagram and our Facebook pages as like a portfolio of cool pictures that we took on a bridge, or maybe I had a night out at a party or whatever, which is cool. Yeah, post that stuff, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to be working, especially in an industry like this where you're going to be on camera and on screen, don't you think you would want to put that out there a little bit more? I mean, I know I'm a little crazy with my posting. I post multiple times a day, but that's just because I want to stay in the algorithm. But my biggest advice is to take a picture of what you're doing. It could be a selfie. It could just be a picture of the field, picture of your camera like Connor does, something like that, and post it out there and say, hey, I just ran this today. This is what I did. This is what I plan to do. I can't wait for the next opportunity. Or, hey, maybe it rained a little bit today, but I still got the run camera, had the poncho on, we're out here doing our thing. I feel like posting that kind of stuff is so important because someone's going to see that eventually. Like, they may not see the first 20 posts, but that 21st post they might see and be like, oh, shoot, this Connor guy, he ran a camera for Carlo today. Let me see what he's all about. And if they go on their page and he's like, oh, never mind, I see him at in Florida drinking a bunch of Miller Lights. Like, no, they're not going to want that guy. But they're going to see, oh, wait a minute, Connor's also done stuff with Pitts. Connor's done stuff with Carlo, RMU, Chatham, whatever. And then they're going to probably reach out to you and try and inquire you about potential hiring. So I just wanted to compliment you on that. Shout out to you posting that kind of stuff. I go a little over the top. I'm a selfie guy. I like to take selfies with everybody, which we'll get one after this episode. But I do respect how you take pictures of your surroundings. I want to give you some credit on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's why I try to do on my LinkedIn, Facebook page. Just try and post all the content and show what games I'm working and just show my career in sports and that to family, friends, and potential employers. And I always thought that was pretty big because I want to show people like what I do working D1, D2, D3, NAI, and like high school athletics.
Yeah, Roger Lenhart was big on that too. Like he does like a weekly post kind of thing where he says like, oh yeah, I worked at this game at West Virginia University and I did this game at Penn State. And when I saw that, I kind of took a little inspiration from it. Like, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't just post the cool experiences I do. I should post all the experiences I do. So Roger was a big part of that.
Yeah, I just honestly just worked with Roger not that long ago.
Oh, you did? How'd that go?
It was pretty well working the Mountain East Conference, basketball tournament there in Wheeling, West Virginia at West Banco Arena. That was a lot of fun. Just having the opportunity to run camera and score bug and just running the multiple different cameras and working the 12 games and that. It was a really great and fun experience. I'm very thankful he reached out to me. I cannot thank him enough. That was such a great opportunity.
We had Roger, it was our fall semester of 24, right?
Yes, because that would have been your first semester, and first semester of junior year. Yes.
Yeah, I remember I was in the back of the back left corner of the room. That was a fun class. It was me, you, Matt, Jake, Bryn, other Jake probably.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was the typical crew. We were all in that class, and I gotta tell you, Roger has been a guest on this show as well in the past. We love Roger Lenhart Jr., 7-time Emmy Award winner as your professor. Come on now, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I really enjoy working with him, and he was a great professor. Loved him for sports broadcasting. Easily one of the best professors I obviously have had here at Point Park. Just really great guy, great professor, and I was really fortunate and glad I was able to meet him.
Yeah, and the funny thing about Roger is too, he does the same thing I do. He's the type of person to show up early for everything. So he's a bus traveler like I am, and for privacy's sake, I won't tell what bus he's on. But he's a bus rider like I am, and he comes in I think 25 to 30 minutes early of everything. So for his class, he would come in 25 to 30 minutes early. I also would come in like 20, 25 minutes early. So I would usually get there like 5 minutes after he's already been there. And I have that entire time to kind of connect with him, talk to him. Usually it was about wrestling because we're both wrestling fans. But that was my opportunity to get advice from him and to learn from him. And I feel like his class was so beneficial, but I probably took more away from the 20-minute conversations we would have before everyone else arrived. And I really love Roger for that.
Yeah, and I also loved for all the guests that he brought in for our class as well. It was so good learning about all these people that work for the Pirates and the Trib and just a lot of great people in the industry, just getting to learn and pick their brain a little bit. That's why I also found very beneficial from the class, all the guest speakers he brought in.
Who were some of the people that he brought in? It was what? Robbie and Smikowski. It was Rob King.
Kevin Gorman,
yeah. Who was the guy from the Chiefs? There was someone from the Chiefs, too, that was, I forget his name off the top of my head. But, yeah, someone from the Kansas City Chiefs, and then someone zoomed in, too, from the NHL, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, we had top-notch industry professionals, essentially, helping us out, which was pretty cool. And the guy from the Chiefs, actually, was grading our resumes, too.
Yeah, which I really appreciate. He gave me some really great feedback on my resume, actually.
Same here. I actually updated that same night. He was like, yeah, do this, this, and this. He's like, outside that, looks good. I'm like, oh, snap. He's right. And I'm a big resume guy, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's change that up real quick. Not only was Roger Lenhart a professor that we have at Point Park that's in the industry, I feel like a good one to talk about now, and you'll actually be the first student that I'm covering this with on the podcast outside of Lucas, which, screw you, Lucas, if you're listening. Sorry, Lucas has been a bit of a jerk recently on the podcast. He's kind of kicked DTNB off and my broadcast colleague Toddy, so he said that I was allowed to have you on this week. So thank you, Lucas, for letting me have Connor on. He said he likes having you in class.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We just had to work on that midterm project together before break where we had to come up with our media company and that. So that was a lot of fun to work with him.
Did he show up actually for it? Did he help you?
Yes, he did show up and help.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm a little upset he didn't show up for this interview. I sent him the invite. He probably didn't get it. He's probably still sleeping, honestly. Probably. I don't know. Go to bed, Lucas. Anyway, back to what we were talking about before. Corey Graves is a professor we have here as well. And I've not talked about this really with anybody yet. You're not really a wrestling fan, right? Like, you're not really into the wrestling sphere as much outside of probably just keeping up with my stuff?
Yeah, for the most part. Wrestling's not like one of my favorite sports, but I'll enjoy it occasionally from time to time, but it's just like not my main sport personally.
Totally fair. So this is why I'm actually excited to get your opinion on this. As someone who's not really in the wrestling industry per se, what would you say your thoughts are on Corey Graves as a professor? Because this is his first time around, just like Roger.
Yeah, that's why I really love having these people that are actually in the industry come teach our classes instead of just having all faculty professors. And I think I just enjoy the variety in that. I think Corey Graves, it's just like Roger. It's such an honor to have him as a professor. He's such a great guy, and he's really helping us become like better broadcasters and better people in sports media and that, which I really enjoy his feedback. He has a lot of information to give to us, and I feel like he's really been helping me out, in my young career.
And I don't think I've said this publicly yet about Corey Graves. I fully agree with everything you just said, Connor. Corey has been vital to so much that I've been doing recently because I call wrestling every Thursday for 880, and then I call IWC once a month on Saturdays, and sometimes I do Canadian Deathmatch whenever they need a commentator. So being able to have Corey on a Wednesday evening right before my Thursday night wrestling, if I have something I'm confused on or like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to tell this story or do this style of commentary or what I'm going to do in the ring, I could just talk to Corey the night before and be like, hey, what would you do here? Or how would you do this? Or how would the WWE system do this? And it's so cool getting someone from the top level to help me with something on a little bit of a lower level, like the local independents here. So Corey, I know Corey's definitely not listening to this, but if you happen to see this clip on social media, Corey, thank you so much for everything that you've done for me, Connor, and the rest of the students in our class. We really appreciate you, and we're honored to have you here at Point Park University. But no, Corey is an amazing professor. Absolutely love Corey Graves. And I know we're doing that kickoff show at the end of the year, too, which is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that Point Park baseball kickoff show we're going to do is going to be a lot of fun to interview players, have an analysis, and just have the table and that. I think it's just going to be a very interesting, final project.
And that'll be right up your alley too, right? Because you're into baseball, so
yeah,
that'll be a cakewalk for you.
Yeah, it should be. I really enjoyed Point Park baseball. I love calling the games for Point Park baseball. I know a lot of the guys personally. I talked to some of them. the Point Park baseball team has some really tremendous guys. Not just great baseball players, but they're also even better people, off the field.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've gotten to know a couple of them just from having some classes with them over the last 2 semesters. So yeah, there are some good guys on that team. Do you have a particular goal within baseball? Like, did you ever want to just run camera with it? Did you want to? 'Cause I know you said earlier you're going to take a step back from play-by-play. Would you ever consider doing camera for the Pirates or maybe a major team or a minor league team?
That's why I was considering hopefully work my way up to it. Once I graduate here this semester, maybe try and find a minor league team and then work my way up to run camera or something for one of the major league teams. I just don't want to limit myself. I just want to try and find opportunities to even get out of Western Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh and just see what all that's out there. Because that's something very important that even people from the Pirates have told me. Don't be afraid to leave Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. Explore opportunities because there's so many great opportunities to work in sports and run camera for the major league teams all across the country.
No, there really is. And I find it funny that a lot of the industry professionals, and you could probably agree with me on this, they always say that all roads lead back to Pittsburgh. So even when they venture off and they go to, I don't know, Phoenix or LA or Vegas, Seattle, they find themselves back in Pittsburgh somehow, some way eventually. So I definitely agree. Moving out a little bit is good for your career. And you've done stuff down in Wheeling, obviously, with the MEC tournament, like you mentioned before. So you kind of already have some experience out of the state a little bit.
Right. And then when we called Youngstown. And
that was in Ohio, yeah.
And then last year, I actually did the tournament last year because me and McKenna went and called the Point Park playoff games there for the MEC tournament. So it was good to do radio last year, and then this school year actually go and work the tournament itself and run camera and stuff. So it was awesome getting to be part of the MEC tournament, go to West Banco Arena in Wheeling, and be a part of the tournament the last couple years.
Something else you've been a part of too recently has been the pod games for Point Park University. I see the smirk on your face, so you already know where I'm going with this. We've done 2 games so far. You're technically not affiliated with the podcast per se, but it's obviously the We Are family. It's the Have a Shift Day. It's the T-Lane Graves, and then 2 Jagoffs. And I'm responsible for the commentary with Downtown Nick Brown, who's not here unfortunately, but he couldn't make it to the hockey game. So it was me and Nick doing football at Duquesne, and then it was me on commentary for hockey. But I kind of got a little bored during the broadcast, so I went over to my reliable cameraman over here, Connor Howard, who ran camera both times around. So you were doing double duty. You were doing camera and broadcasting.
Yeah, that was such a crazy turn of events. I was not expecting, you just came over and handed the mic over to me, and I just tried to give you commentary while I'm trying to run the camera. It was a crazy turn of events. But that's what I really enjoyed about working the pod games. I'm not affiliated with any of the podcasts. I'm just neutral. Mm-hmm. I'm just there to hang out and have a good time with all of our friends in SportsCom. That's why I prefer to be just a neutral, just camera operator / potentially color commentator guy on the side while running camera, which was a very interesting, thing that just happened all of a sudden while I'm trying to run camera and trying to give you my commentary. It was just very wild, but hey, I guess I can, do color, give commentary, and run camera at the same time.
There you go. You can put that on the resume. You could say that I've done 2 different major things while running a live game, a live deck hockey game for a tournament per se. I don't know. You can word it however you want, but that was pretty fun. Yeah, because I was literally bored on the broadcast. I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, Nick's not here. I'm not really the biggest hockey fan. The goals did start to heat up towards the end, and that's when things were good. But during the heat of the game, I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm like, there's nothing going on. I'm like, because they're so back and forth and they were debating rules and stuff, and I'm like, man, I really can't commentate this. And I looked over at you and I just saw you running camera. I'm like, screw it. Connor, what's your opinion on this? And I just came over and you were like, oh, crap. So thank you for doing double duties that day. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I don't even know what to say about that. That was just absolutely insane.
It was just pure chaos. Yeah, poor Ryan Jones, I think, he got hurt during that game, and then someone else was sick during the game.
Yeah, Nate, it was not good.
Yeah, maybe it's a good thing you're not affiliated with a certain podcast. That's why I like the 2 Jagoffs team being there, because technically I'm not on any of the teams either. I'm just calling the action, which I still find it funny that we're all going to school for sports broadcasting. We're all going to school for communications. Yet anytime we do any of these games, they want me to be the commentator for it. It's like, wait, we're all doing this. Why can't someone else do it? So that's why I looked over at you and I was like, yeah, I've called games with Connor before. We have good chemistry. Let's just do this. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, especially all the chaos that was happening around me on the actual rink itself, and both of the teams are going at it and stuff. It was just an insane night. It was probably one of the more crazy nights that I've had here at Point Park.
Oh yeah, and Edmey and Luca were the 2 sole fans that were there as well, and they were right behind me. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to be like, all right, fan interview time, and I interviewed them as a goal was happening, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, they were complimenting me and hyping me up while I was running that camera, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad I have a fan base.
You got your little fan base. We got the Connor Howard fan club. We should like make like a T-shirt or something for that too, with a little Point Park logo on the side.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? It'll probably sell better than my 2 Jagoff shirts right now. Which, by the way, new shipping out now.
I don't know about that, but maybe it'll be close. But I think your podcast has to, do it.
I appreciate that. I mean, hey, we have our second order of shirts coming in now, so I guess we're doing something right. But no, the Connor Howard exclusive fan club shirts will eventually go on sale. We'll put like your face on one side. We'll put like the Point Park logo on the other side. You can have the full royalties on it, obviously.
I appreciate it.
There we go. We'll make some shirts happen. Now that we kind of talked about all the experiences here at Point Park, taking a second and looking ahead now, obviously you said you wanted to see yourself doing something camera operating wise. I'm planning on staying for my master's. Do you plan on furthering your education here as well? Or also do you plan on like spreading your wings out and going into the real world, so to speak?
Honestly, I'm probably going to do a combination of both.
Ooh, okay.
What my plan is that I actually just starting it this week. I'm starting my master's degree here at Point Park in athletic coaching and sports administration to open myself up to more opportunities and roles. So that's going to be fun. I'm starting that this week, which, it's going to be fully online, but I want to go off right after I graduate here and keep working in Sportsnet, but working on my master's degree on the side.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's so smart to do because something that I've been debating, and I haven't really talked about this on camera, so this would be pretty cool. I've always wanted to stay for the master's because I see myself as like teaching and giving back one day. Not like a full-time professor or anything, but like adjunct, kind of like what Roger is, Corey is, whatever. So I would love to teach and help and give back, but at the same time, I want to try and go and experience new things and work in the real world. So as a safety blanket, I feel like it's good staying for the master's, especially with a GA position that takes care of your tuition. And it also gives you a chance to still freelance on the side, still work and make money on the side, and still do other creative projects on the side. So if I stay for my master's per se, I get to still do this. I still get to do some wrestling. I still get to do other broadcasting. If Carlo makes a phone call, I'll go and work Carlo games. So yeah, I think what you're doing is like really smart. It's really, really smart.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've just been trying to take advantage of all these opportunities to call games and run camera. It's just been a really great 4 years getting to build my career in sports media. It's been a great 4 years.
Yeah, for sure. And I recommend Point Park to anybody for that exact reason because I feel like it has some of the best experience. And it's not like it's like a big major university where you have to like worry about running into a wall and have a bunch of other students trying to do the same thing. Like we're so small to the point where everybody can do something. Everybody can have a piece of the pie, which I absolutely love. With that all being said, I feel like it's time we talk some sports now. We're both big sports fans on the podcast. You're the resident Steelers fan of today, though, because obviously I'm a depressed, lonely Arizona Cardinals fan. So that's neither here nor there. Shout to Gardner Minshew. I want to talk to you about your Pittsburgh Steelers, though. At this current point in time, there's really not a quarterback figured out right now. There's a new head coach that's brought in, obviously. There's a lot of new moves that was just made, obviously, in free agency. What's your current thoughts on this Pittsburgh Steelers?
Wow, looking at the Steelers right now, it's like we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to come back for next season or not.
Yeah.
There's just like a lot like going on right now in terms of the quarterback position. Will Howard get an opportunity this season? It's just a little bit chaotic because I'm not sure if they like know what exactly is going to go on with Aaron Rodgers and that. Mm-hmm. But like what I was thinking is like there's not too much sense like with Aaron Rodgers and that like they want to come back and give it like one last hurrah with Mike McCarthy. I understand, but it's just who knows like what's going to happen and like what I was personally thinking is the only reason why I would like if I'm the Steelers I'd bring Aaron Rodgers back is if you think that he can help develop Will Howard a second year, or if they really do decide to draft Ty Simpson late in the first round and maybe he sit behind Rodgers, they think he could be the franchise guy. But yeah, unless the Steelers just want to wait till next year in 2027 because it's supposed to be a lot better of a quarterback draft class. So yeah, the whole quarterback position is just like up in the air, which is, as an NFL team and organization, it's just like we don't know like what the Steelers are going to do. Like what is their like plan for quarterback next season?
Yeah, and I feel like it's expanded upon too because like quarterback is like the big concern right now for Pittsburgh going into the new season. But that offense, man, I mean, like the line it's okay. It's a solid line. I mean, there's some pieces that could be better. There's some pieces that could be worse. It's average. And then you look at the receiver room, and it was just DK last year, which was rough. It was rough to say the least. So I loved bringing in Michael Pittman Jr. I think that's going to add a lot to the offense. But I'm not sold on this running back room at all. I'll be honest. I'm not sold on Warren. I'm not sold on Johnson. And I'm not fully sold on bringing Rico Dowdle in either. I think it's going to be good. I think you're going to get the yards that you're going to need. But I just don't see it being like as explosive as a running back room as fellow AFC North running back rooms. And not to mention, I also feel like losing Kenneth Gainwell was a big loss for them as well.
Yeah, losing Kenneth Gainwell I thought was a huge loss for him. He was so, good for the Steelers in the run game last year. And then he had that crazy catch against the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. But like you mentioned, that's why I was also going to bring up about Michael Pittman Jr. I think that's a good, solid wide receiver, too, to bring in to pair with DK. Because especially when DK got suspended for the 2 games last year, you could tell it definitely hurt. Because when the Steelers win, the Cleveland only scored 6 points, and they could have clinched the AFC North that day, and it did not go, the way they wanted it to go, and they ended up losing 13-6 to Shedeur Sanders in that.
Oh,
and
that was rough.
He threw some, interceptions in that, and the Steelers just were not able to take advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. So it was just a really rough game, and then they barely squeaked out that Ravens game just to even win the division at the last second.
Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a shot at the North this year, or where do you see them falling in the division?
I think honestly, I could see the Steelers either finishing first or third.
Oh wow, okay.
The only reason I'm going to say this is that because, in my opinion, I think it's a really up in the air right now because a few new head coaches. We don't know exactly what on earth is going to happen because Jesse Minter is an unknown. Mike McCarthy, we'll see how he does with his Steelers tenure. And then Todd Monken for the Browns. And then the Browns might be hopefully, for their sake, a little bit better than what they were the last few years. But yeah, with 3 new head coaches and a lot of Bengals fans want Zach Taylor fired, it's really all going to depend because it's going to really see how Jesse Minter is as a head coach. And then as long as Joe Burrow can stay healthy, I could see the Bengals winning the division. The Ravens can win the division with Lamar, or the Steelers can somehow maybe squeak out winning the division again. Because I could see the Bengals, Ravens, or Steelers winning that division, or any 3 of them finishing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and it's weird too because the division is so competitive now, and the one player I feel bad for is Joe Burrow because not only does he have to go against T.J. Watt twice a year, not only does he have to go against Myles Garrett twice a year, he now has to go against his former teammate Trey Hendrickson twice a year. I'm gonna send my early condolences his way because that line is not gonna protect him whatsoever against those players.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of Bengals fans are actually mad too because the Bengals did not spend hardly any money in free agency, and it's just been a disaster because they really need to fix the offensive line because that's been one of the biggest issues. And then also talk about defense because they've been the worst defense the last couple years in the NFL, and they have not improved. They've had the issues with Hendrickson, and then with their first round pick and Smart, it's just been an absolute mess, top to bottom with the Bengals. They just need to figure it out, and just that's going to be a big issue when they don't hit on their draft picks and when they don't fix their defense that's been ranked last the last couple years. That's going to be a major problem.
It really is too because poor Burrow, he has 2 explosive weapons in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase who could start on pretty much any other team. And it's rare you see 2 capable of being a number 1 receivers on the same team with an amazing quarterback of Joe Burrow still do that bad because of a defense. I don't understand how they could let a defense get that bad. Is it because they're spending too much money? Is it because they're not spending enough money? I don't know. The Bengals are just a mess.
Yeah, especially when they played the Chicago Bears and that Colson Loveland touchdown in the final seconds. That was the craziest spin off, and then he scored that touchdown, and it was just I cannot believe they blew that game. And then they blew that that Jets game to the Justin Fields, and yeah, they've had some really bad losses. I understand what they were trying to do. They brought in Joe Flacco to try and salvage their season, save their season, at least try and get a playoff spot, but that obviously didn't work out just because Joe Flacco, even though I appreciate Joe Flacco, I think he's still a solid quarterback, but when you have a quarterback like Joe Flacco in his late 30s or early 40s like that, he's not good enough to, save the whole team. He's a solid quarterback. We saw what he did against the Steelers, and he threw for a lot of yards, threw a lot of touchdowns that first game as a Cincinnati Bengal, but as good as Joe Flacco can be for you, he's not good enough to save your team.
No, not at all. Not at all. He's a good role model, and he's a good player to have in the locker room if you have a younger quarterback on your roster that needs to be mentored. But to be that starter and expect him to win big games, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen at all. Free agency has been crazy, though. There's been a lot of signings, a lot of crazy trades. Does Connor Howard particularly have a favorite move that happened? Maybe a favorite player in a new home or back on the same team?
You know, I honestly don't think there was really one for me. Like, I thought the
Okay.
Jalen Waddle trade today was very interesting because I personally felt like the Broncos gave up a lot for Jalen Waddle. A first, a third, and a fourth was kind of crazy to me personally. But yeah, there's been a lot of interesting trades. I don't know if there's exactly one for me, but it's just been a very interesting offseason so far.
Yeah, and I feel like the Dolphins are going to be like underrated in the sense that they are building so much draft capital right now with the moves they're making. Sure, they paid Malik Willis a lot of money, but as long as they hold on the A chain, I think they're fine. Like, they don't really need a Tyreek Hill and a Jalen Waddle in the sense, like, yes, they're two amazing receivers. Waddle is going to go do good things, and Tyreek Hill, depending on how he recovers from the injury, he'll hopefully be back to his normal form. But I don't know, man. I actually really dig the Malik Willis move to Miami. Did they pay him a lot? Yeah, but did he not deserve it after the way he played in Green Bay? I mean, if Jordan Love wasn't there, Green Bay would have paid him that money.
Right. I think it's just going to be interesting what they do with the draft capital because even though Achan is a very important part of their offense, and that I still think they need to still go out and give him a wide receiver to throw the ball to.
I agree.
So it's going to be interesting what they do the rest of free agency and the draft is really going to determine because obviously I feel like we're going to see what the new head coach and we'll see how Malik Willis does if he can just continue to improve and get better like he has been over the years because we saw him when they threw him out there in Tennessee and he was clearly not ready and then he gets to Green Bay and finally starts to look like a decent backup and then a potential starter and now we're going to have to see how he does now. I'm interested to see what a full season of Malik Willis looks like.
I would love to get your opinion on Kyler Murray to the Vikings, too. That's my boy right there, former Cardinals quarterback. He's now a Viking. I don't think he's going to be the starter day one necessarily. I feel like he's going to compete with J.J. McCarthy early. I mean, like, he'll probably start, like, if he beats him out in camp and stuff, but I don't think they're bringing in Murray to necessarily replace McCarthy. I feel like they're bringing him in to see if McCarthy can still hang with the team and then slowly kick him out the door and give Murray the reins. Like, what's your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, the whole Minnesota Vikings like quarterback situation was very interesting to me because it's just like I don't even know what to like honestly make of it because you brought in J.J. McCarthy. He was hurt
Excuse me,
all of his rookie year, and then year two, you know, he had his ups and downs. He had a couple of good moments and some bad moments, and then it felt like they're bringing in Kyler Murray to compete with him and potentially replace him. It's just that we only see 1 year of McCarthy. I just don't want to like give up on him, but that's like the NFL era that we're in now because a lot of teams are quitting on these young quarterbacks. That's what I've really noticed.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like Murray was I'm gonna cough real quick again. Excuse me. Water went down the wrong pipe. Kyler Murray, it's interesting because when he was with the Cardinals, his 2019 season was crazy. Like he went bananas. And then he ended up taking the Cardinals to the playoffs and they went on what was like a 6-0, 7-0 streak at one point where we all thought like, oh, wait a minute, the Cardinals are going to be the next big team in the NFC. And then injuries kind of slowly made the team lose more and more and more. And then they got blown out by the Rams in the first round, who went on to do good things that year. But I don't know. I think that Murray to the Vikings is probably their best move they've had since Kirk Cousins. And the reason why I say that is, yes, Sam Darnold was amazing. And I'm a big Sam Darnold guy on the podcast. But he was never supposed to be the starter there, if you really think about it. He was brought in from San Francisco to back up McCarthy in case something happened. And what happened? McCarthy went down, he came in, and he had an amazing year. Now, I feel like I speak for the both of us when I say they probably should have signed Darnold to that extension. They probably should have because maybe Minnesota would have been the one hoisting up the Lombardi this year. But obviously, Darnold went on to Seattle and won the Super Bowl. So I think that the Minnesota Vikings QB situation now with Kyler Murray is going to be much better than it was a couple years prior before Darnold came in.
Right. I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see what the Vikings do this season. Yeah, that's actually interesting too. Because the Vikings just recently fired their general manager, so I don't know if it was because of the Sam Darnold like incident. Is like they let him go. That's why they decided to fire him. But yeah, it's interesting looking at the whole situation with the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold because they brought him in basically to be like a spot starter because he was only supposed to start like a handful of 8 games, maybe the whole season, and then J.J. McCarthy was supposed to take over this season and be the franchise QB. But Sam Darnold has an unbelievable season, resurrects his career, and just unbelievably, and then wins the Super Bowl against the Patriots that, you know, his second year broke him, and then he was seeing ghosts and he lost 33-0. So for him to have that, you know, that comeback of, you know, the ages and that and rewrite his story was a really cool and satisfying moment as a sports fan.
Totally agree. And I've always been a Sam Darnold guy too, mainly because I wanted him over Josh Rosen in the 2018 draft for Arizona. But no, Sam Darnold has been phenomenal throughout his career. And it's good to see that he was once with the struggling Jets and Panthers to backing up Purdy in San Francisco for some short time to being a backup / starter in Minnesota to now just winning the Super Bowl in Seattle. I mean, what a journey for sure. Speaking of the draft, though, obviously that's coming up, and I feel like this is a good way to end off our football discussion. Is there any particular players you have your eyes on, any particular moves maybe the Steelers you want to make, or just what's your thoughts overall on the draft? Because it is here in Pittsburgh, which is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, for the Steelers, since it's going to be held in Pittsburgh for the first time, you would think the Steelers want to get a big-time splash player in that. But, I don't think we're going to draft a wide receiver. Steelers never draft a wide receiver in the first round. Plus, we just got DK and Michael Pittman now as our 1-2 for this season. So, hopefully, DK is able to not get in any more trouble. And then with having, Michael Pittman as our number 2. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. From what I've seen, the Steelers have only been really checking out defensively. I don't know if they're going to draft Ty Simpson and really go that route. I know some people really mock him at pick 21 to the Steelers, but I don't know. I just don't. As much as it'd be interesting and enticing to maybe draft Ty Simpson, see if he can be our franchise quarterback, because the Steelers have not figured out their franchise quarterback situation since Big Ben left. So, yeah, and I know a lot of mock analysts had us drafting Denzel Boston, but I feel like you can take that out of the equation now since we signed Michael Pittman Jr. most likely. So, yeah, if I would have to guess, I could see the Steelers probably drafting a cornerback or some defensive player, because the Steelers had the highest paid defense in the NFL last season, and they definitely did not play the highest paid defense. So definitely they have some, they have to clean up some things on defensively. And then, so hopefully drafting a really good defensive player in the first round would be big for them.
It's funny you bring up Ty Simpson, because I was actually going to ask you if there was any quarterbacks that you see even worth taking at 21, because I mean, we all know Mendoza is probably the lock for number 1 overall, which is obvious, and he's going to be a day 1 starter in Vegas, unless they bring in a veteran quarterback like a Kirk Cousins or whatever to compete with him, just to give him some reps. But do you really even think there is a quarterback worth taking at 21? Because, I mean, I like Ty Simpson, I do, but I just don't necessarily see him really being not even just a first-round pick, but 21st overall worthy for Pittsburgh. Do you really think Simpson is going to be worth it, or no? Where are you kind of at on that?
You see, I don't even want to say anything in terms of that, because quarterback is the hardest thing to scout and stuff. So who knows? Ty Simpson could be an elite quarterback for the Steelers, or for whatever team drafts him in late first round, maybe possibly second round. But because quarterback is definitely the hardest position to evaluate in that. So it's kind of hard to want to give a certain grade on him. But that's why a lot of people have him going late first or early second.
Well, I'll bring this up then. If we're let's just count Ty Simpson out of the equation for a second and just look at the current room. Will Howard is a name that some people aren't even mentioning, which kind of surprises me. I personally don't see him as a starter. I believe he's a backup, which is good. The Steelers are going to need a backup. It's nice having Mason Rudolph in that room still to be able to teach him the system, because if you think about it, Rudolph is the most experienced Steelers quarterback that they've had that's still active in the league because of how long he's been there. He's the only one that got to work with Big Ben. So I feel like it's nice Mason Rudolph passing down his stuff to Will Howard, so Will Howard could be the backup of the future for the Steelers. But so many people want to see him as a starter. Do you see Will Howard ever taking the reins as a starting quarterback, or no?
I just don't know if it's going to be next season, though. Maybe down the line, but it's just he was drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
The Steelers and then the NFL in general did not value him as a top draft pick. So it's kind of hard to see a 6th round, 7th round QB get drafted to become a starter.
Thank you.
Tom Brady and Brock Purdy are rare one-offs in that, obviously. But yeah, it's just hard. As much as I want to believe in Will Howard, maybe he could potentially be the guy for the Steelers. It's just, a lot of teams draft these guys late just as maybe development or practice squad or third string quarterbacks for a reason. But I just don't know, because Will Howard is just big. It's just a big question mark because who knows what the Steelers see him evaluate of him in training camp, if he's ever even because he still was QB3. So if he even becomes QB2 and would take over Mason's job, I think would be even an accomplishment or huge.
No, I totally agree. It's going to be very weird the way things go this season, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. Connor, I do appreciate you taking the time to come down here today and do this
my
podcast.
pleasure.
But I do got one final question for you, and it's not sports related whatsoever. And I know you said you've listened to some interviews in the past before, so you probably already have an idea of where I'm going with this. What is the go-to restaurant for Connor Howard? I've been curious and thinking about this all day. It could be in Pittsburgh, it could be local in your hometown, it could be anywhere. I'm curious. I'm a foodie.
That's honestly a good question.
Thank you.
Like a first restaurant that comes to my mind is Sheets. Like honestly,
Hey, that's a good answer. That's a great answer.
because I can't tell you how many times like after work calling sporting events and stuff, I love to just go to Sheets and do a Sheets run in that. But that's just personally like one of my go-tos.
Okay, so Sheets is the go-to. What's the go-to Sheets order, if you don't mind?
That's honestly pretty good. I mean, I like a lot of stuff that they have there. Like the fries, I think are pretty good.
Fries
The
are fire.
mozzarella sticks, I think they have the best mozzarella sticks. Like some of their chicken sandwiches and stuff. And then, especially when they had like the taco deals and stuff, like I just really appreciate just going to Sheets because I think they have really good food that I like to get after working sporting events and that.
I feel like our generation is very spoiled with Sheets. That's kind of like what our thing is. Oh, are we going to go on a Sheets run? We're going on a Sheets run? Of course we're going on a Sheets run. It's Sheets. So Sheets is the go-to. Are you like big in like sit-down restaurants at all by any chance? Or like you're more like, hey, let me just get my food real quick and get out of here?
I mean, obviously, I think I do both, but personally, like, especially when I get off work and that, I like to go to Sheets. I mean, usually I go to sit-downs, like, if it's, like, with family or friends or, like, anyone close to me. But, yeah, usually I'm more of a run-and-go kind of guy because of work and stuff. So I just go and grab my food at the drive-thru and leave or walk inside. Usually I'm open and I do both, but it's usually more the grab-and-go because of work.
That's fair. So if you were going to Sheets right now, what are you ordering? Is it going to be the mozzarella sticks and the fries probably?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. You know what? I can't hate for that. Do you have like something you like to dip it in, like the seasoning that they have? Because like they have the nacho seasoning and like the ranch seasoning and stuff.
Yeah,
too.
those are pretty good, but I wouldn't even mind them plain, honestly.
Hey, that's totally fair. You know what, Connor? You're the first person that's actually said Sheets out of like the 60 people that have asked this, and I very much respect you for that because I love going to Sheets every so often. So there was a point where I was going like 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm like, okay, this is bad. I got to slow down a little bit. I'm spending too much money. But no, Sheets is a good answer. Really good answer. Well, Connor, I do appreciate you again so much for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for making this happen. And my apologies for delaying it so long, but I'm glad we got to finally sit down today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. No trouble whatsoever. I'm very happy and honored and humbled to finally be on Two Jagoffs. It's such a pleasure to finally be on because I know we've been talking about it for like a year or so now about me coming on, but yeah, it's just at least I finally got to be able to come on. So, it just took a long time, but I appreciate it.
No worries whatsoever. So I'll give you the chance. Did you want to leave any final words with the listeners? Maybe where they can find you at on socials, LinkedIn, every so often?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn just at my name, Connor Howard. You can find me on X, Instagram at Connor Howard 32. I post about my career in sports and that, about me running camera and calling games. Feel free to follow me, add me. I appreciate it. But yeah, you can just find me on all social media platforms.
Awesome. Connor, thank you so much. We will make sure we link all that down below for the pages for you as well. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
No worries. And thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Two Jagoffs. Make sure you stay tuned for this Thursday because Lucas will be back on the podcast. And I don't know what kind of headache he's going to give me this week. So make sure you tune into that. And make sure you tune in to Thursday night fights too. You get to see me make fun of some guy named John, which is great. I know you love that too.
Yeah, he seems like an interesting guy, interesting character. I'm gonna have to meet him one day.
You're gonna have to. You're probably gonna hate that interaction, but I'll try my best to make the bull interaction with you guys. He might slap me though, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in to Two Jagoffs. I of course am Austin Cairns. That right there is Connor Howard, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.